This is the Sentinel loop using a while construct worked example. The subgoal labels for evaluating a loop are 1. Diagram which statements go together. 2. Determine the start condition. 3. Determine the termination condition. 4. Trace the loop. For every iteration of the loop, write down the values that change during that iteration. Here's the problem statement that we want to solve. Given the following code, what is the output if the user enters the values 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, -1? The first subgoal is to diagram which statements go together. In this case, we want to diagram the statements that go together for the while loop. Because the while loop has curly braces, it's easy to see which statements go with the while loop. The second subgoal then is to determine the start condition. In this case, the loop control variable is the variable score. We want to know what the value of score is when the loop begins. Looking at the code before the loop, we can see that score is declared as an integer, and then score gets the first value read in that the user enters into the input stream. In this case, the first value the user enters is 10, so when we begin the loop, the value of score is 10. Subgoal 3 is to determine the termination condition. While the continuation condition is when score is greater than or equal to 0, the termination condition would be when score is less than 0. We will stop the loop when we get to this test and score is less than 0. The fourth subgoal is to trace the values in the loop. For this loop, we are concerned with two variables, the variable score and the variable good scores. We want to track all the values that score will take on. We know that score begins the loop with the value 10. We can also see inside the loop that the next value of score is read. So in this case, the user will enter 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and -1. Let's see what happens inside the loop. If the score is greater than or equal to 20, then good scores is incremented by 1. So the first value, 10, is not greater than 20, so we read in the next value, which is 15. 15 is not greater than 20, so we read in the next value of 20. 20 is greater than or equal to 20, so we increment good scores to 1. We now read in the next score, which is 25, which is also greater than or equal to 20, so good scores is incremented to a value of 2. We now read in the next value for score, which is 30. 30 is greater than or equal to 20, so good scores is now incremented to 3. We read in the next value for score, which is 35. 35 is greater than or equal to 20, so good scores is incremented by 1 to 4. The next value of score is -1. -1 is not greater than 0, so the loop ends. In this case, we want to print out on the last line the number of good scores, which is 4. This is the end of this worked example.